Hey everyone, it's Amy from Thinline 206. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about mindfulness and why I think you should implement a mindfulness practice. So as we all know, the last few months has been super stressful for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're in the US, if you're in Europe, if you're in China, everybody's been experiencing a complete change in their lives. And it appears that things just are not going to be going back to normal anytime soon. And we just continue to experience more and more stress, and mindfulness tends to be a very good stress reliever. So I want to talk a little bit about the reasons I think you should implement a mindfulness practice. So we're going to talk about 9 different reasons, starting with the fact that it reduces and decreases stress. So as we're going day to day, we're experiencing lots of different stressors, whether it's family stress, whether it's community stress, health stress, work stress, which is why what we talk about primarily here. And it's beneficial to have a mindfulness meditation practice in your life to help with reducing that stress. So not only does it reduce stress, but it helps us with regulating our emotions, and being able to do that just helps us handle stress a lot better, and also can help improve our mood. So number 2, it improves our overall health. So in the United States, I know that heart disease is a big issue. And now I'm not going to get into all the statistics and all that stuff, but knowing that mindfulness can help reduce blood pressure, it can help us with becoming more physically active. Those are all great things to help our physical health. On top of that, it's also seen that there's a big reduction in the negative behaviors that we engage in. For example, instead of when we're stressed after work, reaching for a beer or taking a break during work and going and having a cigarette, instead we're implementing mindfulness, and it's helping us avoid some of the negative behaviors that cause even more stress in our lives. And it also can help us because you're moving more oftentimes, because you're implementing this mindfulness practice. You tend to have more of a fitness practice as well. You're also going to see benefits in the aspect that you're going to be reducing your BMI or weight in a healthy manner. Number 3, so it helps with work-related stress. And of course, we're going to talk about work-related stress today. That is the topic that we are going to be covering in many different fashions through this vlog. So being in either the healthcare industry or being a first responder, or even just a family member, you're going to see or experience work-related stress. It's inevitable. It's pretty much unavoidable. And so when we're looking at practicing mindfulness, you're going to notice that you're going to, as I discussed earlier, have some of that emotion regulation. You're not going to be as negative. You're going to be able to not feel as burnt out, which also a great benefit to employers is that it reduces turnover and burnout. So not only are they having employees that aren't quitting constantly or having a high turnover, but they're also having employees that are on their game. So practicing mindfulness only helps in the work environment. It also helps decrease fatigue and increase our focus. So oftentimes we may notice that that we feel distracted a lot. And so by practicing mindfulness, we're going to notice that we're going to have a little bit more ability to focus because ultimately what we're trying to do. We're focusing on our breath, or we're focusing on an object, or it's really implementing that focus into our lives. And so that's just going to carry over into our work lives as well as our personal lives. It's going to go beyond the walls of where you meditate or where you practice um, regular mindfulness. And I want to make sure that I'm clear that mindfulness doesn't have to be only practiced in one area. You may find that you implement a daily routine in a small room or in your office or your living room, wherever it may be, but you can take these techniques and you can take these resources with you. So when you are implementing mindfulness, it is not a 10 to 15 minute thing that you do at the beginning of the day and then forget about it. You are utilizing these skills throughout your day when you're in stressful situations, for example. And it also helps with lessening aggression. So we're practicing calmness. We're teaching ourselves how to kind of regulate some of those emotions that may be associated with being more aggressive. And so that's a big benefit as well. And so when we are looking at mindfulness, it's not just helping us in the moment, it's helping us throughout our day. Number 4, it boosts resilience. So it's improving our mood, it's helping us be more empathetic and understanding, it's developing a higher confidence in ourselves. It's also helping with our self-esteem. So when we're talking about implementing mindfulness, we're talking about implementing coping skills. And these coping skills can also benefit us in the fashion of social skills and having more better communication and the attention and focus, as I had discussed previously. So it reduces anxiety. And I don't know about you, but I experience anxiety, and the ruminating thoughts, the constantly thinking and racing thoughts. Being able to practice mindfulness and give yourself a break or a space to be able to focus on more calming techniques or slowing those thoughts down, it only helps us in the end, because it is taking those skills, we're practicing them even when we don't need them, because then when we do need them, we're more apt to actually utilizing them. So reducing the anxiety and helping us, again, regulate our emotions and what we're experiencing. Number 6, decreasing depression symptoms. So as I talked a little bit earlier, by practicing mindfulness, it helps us have some more self-compassion with ourselves. And by doing that, we're oftentimes going to be having more positive thoughts. We're going to be able to identify when we're experiencing negative thoughts. And instead of just fighting them and fighting those thoughts, it helps us not only identify it, but accept the negative thoughts that we're having and work through them, instead of constantly feeling like you have to fight these thoughts that you're experiencing. So it helps decrease depression symptoms. Number 7, so generating gratefulness. So oftentimes when you're practicing mindfulness, you're also having a practice of gratefulness. You're reminding yourselves of the things that you're grateful for, even if it's your toothbrush. Some people don't have that. Reminding yourselves of the things that you do have, because it just makes you grateful for the life that you're living. So not only when we're practicing gratefulness, are we just reminding ourselves of that? But it also helps us be more loving, and provide kindness and forgiveness to other people. And we all know in this world, we could use more kindness, we could use more love, we could use more gratefulness. And so it's just another positive thing that mindfulness can help with. Number 8, controlling cravings. So in the first responder and healthcare fields, there is a high rate of not only obesity, but there's also high rates of like alcohol use as well. When I think about my own work environment, any of my work environments, there was always food. There's always food around, and it's never celery and carrots. It's always brownies and cake and donuts and you name it. And so, one thing that mindfulness can help with is actually surprisingly reduce cravings. It helps us regulate our emotions, so we're less likely to be emotional eaters. We're less likely to binge eat because we're stressed. And on top of that, we're also less likely to reach for alcohol or cigarettes, as I mentioned earlier, or any other negative thing in our life. Instead of reaching for that, we're practicing mindfulness, and which is more of a positive coping skill. And so by doing that, we're going to use those when we're stressed. So controlling our cravings by practicing mindfulness. And finally, it helps improve sleep. So if you give it a shot, you'll probably notice that you're going to yawn a lot, you're going to feel more relaxed, and when we feel more relaxed, we automatically feel more tired. And so by practicing mindfulness, you can improve your sleep. And when we talk about occupational stress, or like last week, we talked a little bit about moral injury, or the weeks prior when we were talking about trauma in the workplace, our sleep can be greatly affected by all of that. And so by implementing mindfulness, we can assist in combating the sleep problems that we're experiencing due to our occupational stress and or the trauma that we're experiencing, whether it's vicarious trauma or even our own childhood trauma or current domestic violence or abusive situations that we are experiencing or we see on the job. So there are a lot of different benefits, and these are just a few that I listed, but getting yourself in touch with different mindfulness practices is only going to benefit you in many different ways, whether that's reducing stress, it's helping your mental health, or it's even helping your physical health. And another big thing that I actually, when I was kind of preparing for today, I noticed that lots and lots and lots of studies have been done on families, caregivers, and people that are in, the healthcare field or the helping field, and how beneficial mindfulness can be, and how many positive things come out of different studies when people are going through and practicing mindfulness. So those are my tips for you on why I think you should implement some mindfulness practice into your life. And I will be talking a little bit more on another video about different types of mindfulness and meditation practices, and maybe where you can find some of those things to implement them into your lives. But in the meantime, do a Google search, go to YouTube, type in, mindfulness meditation, and I promise you, you will find a plethora of options, and you will not be bored. So I hope you find this helpful, and God bless.